There's just 1 minute to showtime.
The engines are on.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
When they wrote up the systems and the rule set that we use, did working people get to write a line? What class of men on pen and paper jotted down their clues? With capital the heart of their design. When 90 million want a thing, but some shareholders say no, which class of people get to have their way? The people read the fine print, say that this thing has got to go, and we'll start writing a new contract here today. Don't you know that hundreds will work and one man keeps the money? They don't think they gotta tell us why. When they say the new social contract, all the bosses will be gobsmacked and everyone will want a sign. Oh, yeah, everyone will want a sign.
Okay. Hello, cousins. Thank you for being here with us on another wonderful episode of Gloom and Doom Weekly. Also,
No, it's
contract.
sunshine and rainbows this week.
Yeah, it's actually there is some kind of good stuff going on this week. We don't really often get the opportunity to talk about good stuff, so thank you for being with us on a very rare occasion of some good news. Some of that being we were talking just before coming on the air. Which is that maybe the coolest news of the week, but we don't really know how this is going to manifest, if this is actually going to happen, how long it's going to take, because again, we're not reporters, we're just people with opinions. So the fact of it is that we can only talk about what we are hearing and word on the street vis-a-vis internet is that Iran is looking to shift its commerce through the Strait of Hormuz from the dollar to the yen, Chinese yen, which would be super, super cool. Jared has warned before about, I think it'd be cool, but Jared has warned before about the devaluation of the dollar on the global scale. So I'm hoping he can enlighten us, because I think it's cool, because I don't know economics. Me dumb. So I don't know these things very well. But I do like to hear about it and then try to voice opinions on it somewhat. We also have this Netanyahu was missing for like a long time, and Jared postulated he was just flying around because he can't land anywhere and there's nowhere safe to go. But he apparently, I mean, like, I don't know, I haven't heard anybody be like, this AI, but like apparently he showed up and he was like, everybody better come and help us right now. Come and kill our enemies for us right now, or they're gonna get you, Europe. And then everybody's like, no. So like everybody kind of gave him the telling him on the global scale, we're not coming. And some of the NATO troops have pulled out as well. So this is definitely just the United States and Israel versus the world at this point. So that's kind of a cool thing. We'll unpack that a little bit more. And then we have this absolutely fucking bonkers story about Afroman. Jared came to me earlier in the week and was like, we need to talk about Afroman. And I'm like, the singer? And he's like,
that's the real fun one. That's like the hot story this week, this month. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if you see some of the pictures, like the courtroom renderings, in court, it's been absolutely hilarious. He's like completely decked out like one of those football fans that goes and they're like all like and everything, but it's all like American flags, and he's got his nails all did, and he's got these good sunglasses on and stuff. So and I've been seeing some of the funniest fucking commentary, because I was trying to think of how to frame this like easily, and at first I'm in our promos, and I was like, okay, it's Afroman versus the cops, but I was like, no, it's not. It's Afroman versus the whole fucking system. It's Afroman versus the man, and he won. So we'll get into that story too. Absolute batshit craziness. Before we do, shout out to chat. Hey to Time Traveler who says they are listening remotely. Hello. Hey Nathan and Coyote, glad to have you. Hey Nilo Nostrum, glad to have you with us today. You picked a good day, so hopefully the technical voodoo will work in our favor today, and we won't have any cutouts or any issues.
Yeah,
so all right, bud, where do you want to begin? Where should we start?
We've changed some router stuff in our house, so I actually have. It's been pretty solid, and now that I've said that, things will totally explode. If you see me looking to my to my left, your right over here, it's because I'm having a very fun 2000s problem. I'm printing a bunch of stuff, so I'm just fighting with a printer because that has not changed. You just printing technology is about the same.
Don't let it know that you need it for like. Don't let it smell your fear. Like you have to. Like it's totally cool. Like everything's fine. Like you're just a printer in my house, and I definitely don't need you for anything.
We're in this weird situation where like you would assume like, oh, why don't you just go down to the library or frickin' Kinko's or something where you can get copies for, because in my head it's like, oh, like 20 cents a page, but it's like 75 cents a copy now a lot of places. So my cheapest option is just to sit here at home, and because I have to print out about 30 of the same packet and then staple those and for educational purposes. And the easiest way to do it is to use my home printer like I'm a caveman.
Right, you got one. Yeah, I've got one too, and it's like one of those scanner fax machine things. And it's like, geez, okay, and we call it Jeff, but Jeff is like only works when Jeff wants to, and it's like so few and far between. It's like every time I go to use Jeff, I don't know, like maybe like every couple of years, it's like no ink, fuck you. So all right, thanks Jeff. Always coming through. Always, actually, it's Jeff 2. That's the second Jeff.
Jeff 2.
Jeff 2. It always comes through with it for sure. But I feel your pain. I know. I used to have to use it all the time, but I don't. I luckily haven't had to in a while. So. All right. Yeah.
All right. I want to start out with.
Go ahead.
I want to start out with. This is less news, more summary of the Iran situation. So I saw somebody wrote it down. I know I should know this guy. Who is Arnaud Bertrand? I know he's someone I should know. I just don't remember why. He's got like 300,000 whatever followers.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of sounds familiar, but I can't keep track of everybody.
I should know that name now. Here's like a summary just of the situation, because as you go through all these scattered events that are happening, it becomes harder and harder to see how things are connected and what they actually mean. It's like, oh, this country's being bombed now, and oh, this country has shut down this port, and like, oh, and this refinery, and like, oh my god,
what is all this? And the United States media angle that Iran is just bombing everyone randomly. It's because there's fucking military bases in every one of these goddamn neighboring countries, and that's who they're fucking taking out. Jesus, come on, people.
So the way that this war, I think this is a good job putting in some yeah, that's what I think. He's just a journalist who's been around for a while, and that's why I know that name. Neil, you're probably right. But I think this is a good summary of why this war kind of seems different. Like there's a nice Marxist idea, the concept of A does not equal A, which is like even when things repeat seemingly, they never repeat exactly the same. It's almost impossible to have two of a thing that are literally 100% exact. It's always like in a new form. So I'll just read this thing here. I don't think people realize just how extraordinary what we're witnessing with Iran is. I was arguing with a dear journalist friend of mine yesterday who was telling me that Iran was winning, yes, but only on the strategic level, not tactically. The type of thing a skinny kid gets stuffed in lockers in high school tells himself to make himself feel better. These people will beg to work for me in 10 years. Everyone knows jocks speak in high school. They'll literally beg, blah, blah. I think that's precisely wrong, and that's what makes the Iran war different. As of now, Iran is in fact holding its own tactically, too. Think about other U.S. wars of aggression these past few decades. Take Vietnam, Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, Serbia, etc. The pattern was roughly always the same, with an immense power differential between aggressor and victim. These wars were, by and large, imperial, the empire attempting to crush a much weaker people whose only realistic recourse was guerrilla resistance, and that is when they actually had the will to resist. Some, like Libya, barely even bothered, just resigned themselves to their fate, despite being, at the time, the richest country in Africa. As spectators spectators of these wars, if you have any moral sense, the dominant emotion was a kind of helpless disgust. You were watching a giant stomp through someone else's house. Sure, the U.S. actually lost many, if not most, of these wars, famously replacing the Taliban with the Taliban or being expelled with their tail between their legs from Vietnam, but the power differential was no less real for it. It's just that power doesn't always guarantee victory. Sometimes the giant can't kill everyone and eventually tires of trying, but that's kind of like how Vietnam was. They just fucking stuck it out for so long that it was like a freaking 30 total years of effing around between like initial things and like the total war all the way through like multiple
trying to
administrations.
extract maximum value out of damaging the location through war.
Just lasted freaking forever. But yeah, these victories won this way were always Pyrrhic at best. The people endured, yes, but what they were left with as a country in ashes that takes decades to rebuild. Meanwhile, in the grand scheme of things, the giant walked away with little more than a bruised ego. Iran is remarkably proving to be an entirely different beast. When others were merely surviving a giant, Iran appears to be able to compete with one. What just happened over the past 48 hours is the best illustration of this. You had the President of the United States issue a formal ultimatum. Reopen the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours or we obliterate your power grid. Iran's response was essentially, we dare you. If you do this, we'll make all your Gulf allies uninhabitable within a week. And as we saw, Trump backed down, pretexting non-existent, very good and productive conversations with Iran. Like suddenly there's deals are happening. And he said his ultimatum no longer applied, or rather it became, now I guess it's 5 days, so I guess they have like 3 more days now before ultimate destruction. Adding the now envisaged, the Strait of Hormuz being jointly controlled by me and the Ayatollah. Okay, well that's a big shift. It's a big shift from total submission to like, well maybe we could both.
Yeah, no, and when he did that, like the stock market jumped up a bunch, and it's like, oh, okay, this wasn't fucking obvious, and there's a bunch of shady deals going on. It's like, okay, thanks. You're supposed
remember
to
the chart from last week where they just seem to like talk their way into like it's like it's all just naked market manipulation because you got to keep the line at a certain level, and if you just say a thing on TV, the line will whoa. That, folks, is a textbook tactical victory. It is, remarkably, Iran demonstrating in this instance that it had escalation dominance over the United States of America. They could go crazier than us, and we had to reckon with that. That isn't usually the situation. That is, the ability to credibly threaten consequences so severe that the U.S., for perhaps the first time since the Cold War, found it preferable to stand down. That's no skinny kid being locked in a locker dreaming of revenge fantasies. That's the kid grabbing the bully's wrist mid-shove and watching his face change. It's not the only tactical victory in this war so far. Take the episode over the Israeli attack on Iran's South Pars gas facility. Iran had warned that if that happened, U.S. allies in the region, including Israel, would face a symmetrical response. And they delivered, famously devastating Qatar's Ras Laffan facility. This is what I'm talking about. You hear about these like things getting bombed. You're like, how does this matter? What was that? Why is this happening? Famously devastating Qatar's Ras Laffan facility, which produced roughly 20% of global liquid natural gas supply, and leading, according to Qatar themselves, to a $20 billion loss of annual revenue for the next 5 years. That's why I'm talking about how it's like there isn't really a going back, because even if tomorrow everyone is holding hands and loving each other, that facility will not be rebuilt in a day or even a year. Apparently, according to this thing, it's going to take 5 years to rebuild that. So now we have at least 5 years of just gas crisis, globally. And yes, that's kind of that's why gas is going to be, I keep saying gas instead of oil. Oil is going to be like $100, $200+ a barrel, and your gas might go up to $20 to $60.
It's with oil, it's with gas, it's artificial scarcity that they have been able to create. So that vis-a-vis creates a bottleneck that you can just squeeze people and companies for.
Yeah, dictating that everything must stay at this particular, that we have such heavy use of this one particular resource becomes an issue when that one particular resource is brought into a crisis for whatever reason. And keep in mind, through all of this, us Americans, we don't use barely any of that damn Middle Eastern gas. It's all from Texas, Canada, the freaking ocean. We're self-sufficient in that sense. So the fact that your gas goes up at all you don't hate these people enough. They're just passing the savings on to you from countries you've never even heard of. Not only that, but they also managed to hit Israel's Haifa refinery, one of the country's most strategic and protected sites. The result was Trump distancing himself from the South Pars attack, saying that Israel had violently lashed out, like, "Oh, that wasn't me. That was my man over there," unilaterally, and that no more attacks will be made by Israel. Wow. Pertaining to this extremely important and valuable.
Ask Lebanon how that's working out.
Israel, well, that's the thing. They can mess with Lebanon because that's kind of another key difference to see here. Like, Lebanon's been shooting back for a long time, but Iran is not Lebanon.
Yeah.
From where I stand, that's another tactical victory. It is, at least, Iran demonstrating that it can fight back symmetrically against the U.S. and its allies. You blow up our thing, we blow up the equivalent of your thing. You blow up this thing, we blow up the equivalent of your... And notice, Iran is not bombing fucking hospitals, weddings, and churches.
Yep.
They're bombing oil fields, refineries, tactical systems, military bases.
Strategic military, tactic. It's like logic versus erratic behavior that
if Iran wanted to just kill a bunch of civilians, they would. They
right,
could.
Yeah.
They
Easily.
would just have piles of dead Israeli children if that was really what they truly wanted in this life to do, is just terrorize, which is what we're told that they want most, is to just dance on the beheaded baby incubator, million protester burial ground, whatever. That's qualitatively different from any other adversaries the U.S. has directly fought in recent years. There's plenty more, such as the pretty relevant fact that Iran has gained control of the single most strategic energy choke point on Earth, and the U.S. is finding it impossible to break that control, to the point where Trump has been reduced to publicly begging China, of all countries, for help.
That was a good one.
For help, which, given Trump's ego, mustn't have been easy to do. Only to be told no by China and everyone else he asked, which you were talking about before the show. Please help us. And everyone's like, I don't know.
No.
This is the topic of my latest article, how, in fact, this is the first multipolar war. Okay. First, in the narrow sense, because it's Iran. Iran is revealing itself to be a genuine pole of power, not a superpower, but an actor that cannot be submitted, which is all multipolarity is. Yeah, it's that you can't just treat every other country like it's a bug to squash, but it's like, look, you got to deal with us. You got to make an art of the deal, baby. You got to start making actual deals.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah. I like that as a summary of why does this feel different? Or should I say not just feel, why is this a different thing? Why is this different from rolling into... I swear Venezuela had to have made a deal. There's no way that whole operation went down that easily and smoothly, and everything's just normal
nobody's
now.
talking about it. Yeah, there was definitely some sort of something that was.
Because Venezuela does not have the ability to symmetrically respond. They can't just be like, oh yeah, well we'll just. It's like, you'll do what? We're used to dealing with all these just much smaller, intentionally weakened sanctions. Like Cuba. Cuba can't starve us back.
Right. And you can also use the example of Vietnam itself. That was asymmetrical warfare, yet they are the ones who were able to pull off the win ultimately against the United States Army. Not that they didn't get, their whole lives and lots of lives lost and the whole region completely
decades
fucking
to rebuild, all the crops destroyed.
Yeah, well, the idea was that it was such a rat fuck, and it was such a bad idea that okay, so basically we're talking about just armed farmers with old weapons are able to fight off the entire U.S. military, and that's basically what did happen if you look at it from the big picture. But when we're now talking about asymmetric warfare, they want you in the West to believe that you're dealing with the same thing, that it's just all this we'll stone any woman to death with rocks that we feel like it, and everybody lives in a mud hut, and we're using shit left over from Russia in the 80s, and that we bought and whatever, and it's that's not true. They're a very advanced country. They they have been all this time, just like the way that China was just quietly working away. The other countries have been doing the same thing, but they haven't really been on the Western radar, because still most people do take their cues and their information from the nightly news, and they're not going to talk about that, and they're definitely not going to let you, and they certainly are not now letting you know that they are posing any real kind of threat, not threat to the West, but just threat to to stand up for themselves. They want you believing they're mud huts and stoning women to death, and
we
this,
had
that, and the other.
It's a story that I'm not sure, I don't know if it's been confirmed or if it's just hopium floating around, but Apparently, Iran struck some like island U.S. military base that's way out, and they're like, "Oh, we thought they could only do 2,000 kilometers, but this thing is 4,000 kilometers away." And the spin was like, Iran was lying to us. They didn't tell us they had these missiles, and I'm like,
like they're so like, oh, we're on the missile report, guys. We're on the missile report.
well, they freaking learned their lesson because there used to be weapons inspectors that were allowed into the country to be like, look, we're not making nukes. Look at whatever you fucking want, and they're just like, you know what, not good enough. And I was like, okay, fine. We're gonna keep secrets then, bitch.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you fucking expect? Like, and then that, like, if you going back for like years and years, like this has been like a high priority for Netanyahu, who has been going on like and been broadcasted on CNN multiple times, being like, they have yellow cake uranium. This is aerial photography of their nuclear weapon sites. They're going to be able to shoot your ass in the West in the next fucking like a week,
Okay, shoot
like
you in England, or
yeah, they're gonna shoot you in England, and then that shit that they're still passing around, that idea, like, okay, if the nukes were ready, that means that the paint is just dried. Like, that is like, don't be sitting here saying that like, oh, it's gonna be a week, it's gonna be tomorrow, it's gonna happen. Look out, Europe. No, it's not. And then come to find out, that because of things that Iran is striking in Israel. Israel has a nuclear fucking program. Oh, was that allowed? That's okay?
No, they don't officially. They don't have nuclear weapons.
Oh yeah,
don't say
no.
that. That's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, you got Netanyahu going on TV again, like, they got nukes and they're gonna get you, white people. They're gonna get you. And then the world basically said, go fuck yourself at this point, And then now, and that even leads into the kind of the next stage of things. Like, all we know at this point. And I don't even think it's like woke galaxy brain or anything. I think people just are so tired of the lies in the system and how things have always worked that they are aware that this is to generate money, like to the military industrial complex, to the upper hands, like to the 1% and the global 1%, not just the donors of the United States. United States is a one-trick pony.
The Epstein class.
Yeah, the Epstein class. America's, once again, United States.
Oh, did Nicolette go down, or is it me? All right, I'm going to assume it's Nicolette and not me. And I'm going to throw up, not bodily. I will not be vomiting. But I do have guess who's got another article, baby. I'll take off Nicolette's frozen face. All right, this is exactly what we were just talking about. Dollar weakens as Trump delays Iran strikes. How before they had that, he was like, yeah, 48 hours. I don't even like doing the voice anymore. It's not fun. Well, actually, when he told Japan that they were the masters of sneak attacks because of Pearl Harbor, that was pretty funny. He has been funny at least once this calendar year. The dollar weakened on Monday. The dollar weakened on Monday after U.S. President Donald Trump said he would delay striking Iran's energy infrastructure after productive talks between after the game of chicken was lost by the U.S. Between the two countries, easing near-term concerns and slightly boosting risk assets. My printer's still okay. Trump said he had asked the Department of Defense to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for 5 days. He made, these people get paid to write this. He made the announcement on Truth Social just hours before the deadline he had set for Tehran to fully open the Strait of Hormuz, threatening to destroy Iranian power plants in a further escalation in a conflict now in its fourth week. The market is looking at this thing, saying maybe some of the near-term danger in the energy side is falling off because they won't be bombing each other's infrastructure within the next couple of days, said Stephen Englander, head of global G10 FX research and North America macro strategy at Standard Chartered in New York. It just sounds like that guy's getting millions of dollars a week or whatever to do this, and you're like, that is a fake place, that is a fake job. Oh yes, I am the FX research North America macro strategy Standard Chartered, and then you look up Standard Chartered, it's like worth $2 trillion.
Right?
You're like, what? It's not saying that the worst is over, but that the odds that the worst will manifest itself in the next couple of days have gone down. And they talk about how the dollar is going all over the place. And then you got the Yuan making moves. The reason I'm not what is it? Is it bullish or bearish? I'm not optimistic about currency games. Like, I don't think that we're going to supplant the world's reserve currency with China's yuan anytime soon. But it does it definitely weakens the U.S. position. If you're going through strict, like, communist Marxist monetary theory of how things are supposed to work, the most logical path to the elimination of currency as we know it, the elimination of fiat currency, would be for the entire world to kind of end up on the same for the entire world to end up on the same currency, which is basically what we have now. When you hear about the global reserve currency of the world is the U.S. dollar, because once if you have everyone on one currency and then that currency becomes effectively worthless, well, there you go, baby, you did it. Money's gone. Or at least fiat, like in the sense that we've been using it up till now, and it also allows for if everyone's on the same currency and there's no dicking around between, you can't screw each other on exchange rates. If one were to just go around forgiving debts, hey, that's easy. You don't even have to convert anything. No, like, Federal Reserves have to get involved. You just go, hey, that is gone. I hit delete on a keyboard and that number is now gone, which is kind of, depending on who you ask, what the role of the government is. Like, they make investments, you do a thing that makes sense and, like, it helps and is productive, and then when it's all said and done and it's kind of going, you're like, oh yeah, you still technically owe like $2 million on this. Forget about it, it's okay, don't worry about that. Like, that's sort of how it's the historic role of, like, government has been. Yes. But I digress.
No, you're making an excellent point, which is that, like, it remains to be seen if these plans will actually go through. But I think it's setting an important precedent, and it's like a psychic thing. Like, I'm more the holistic argument of economics, which isn't really a thing, I don't think, but it's just probably because I'm not good at numbers. But the idea, I think that it sends a big message to the world that, like, hey, China is good enough to stand on its own 2 feet, whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not. And the rest of the world wants to deal with it. And if you've been keeping score at home, you know that we've been talking about this for months, if not years, that this is where things are trending. And when you see, even if it doesn't necessarily come to fruition now over the Strait of Hormuz dispute, it will ultimately trend in that direction. This is not going to be like, we're not going to do it, or we're going to do it and then it's never going to happen. Obviously, it can be done, and it can be done fairly seamlessly. And when the rest of the world is seeing that, that sends a big message, that, like, hey, China's ready to play ball. They haven't gotten aggressive. They're not threatening anybody. They said when Trump was begging them for help, to bully open the Strait of Hormuz, they said, hey, that's sovereign to Iran, something you don't understand, go fuck yourself. And then when Netanyahu came on like a couple days ago, questionably, and was saying the same kind of stuff, they were like, haha, no. So, you had more of that, but you also have the last I heard, and I can't, obviously I don't have proof on it. The last I heard, that there were up to about 25 countries who were, interested in getting on this agreement. Like, okay, we use the strait, we pay all this money out. This would benefit us to get away from the nasty United States and all of its bullshit, and start clean somewhere else with people who actually seem to understand how business needs to be done in a fair and equitable way. And that is going to benefit not just the United States ultimately. It's basically, when you do business with the United States, you're effectively, it's like working with the mob. You're paying protection for them not to fuck with you. And China is offering an entirely different philosophy towards how we can do it. And then you say, oh, well, they're communists. And communists do business, like, and they do it well. It's just an equitable situation. Usually to all involved, so that you have an incentive to want to keep doing that. So if that conversation has started in earnest, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
We're going to see it's a challenge to dollar hegemony.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It becomes a test of, because, I mean, the reason that I am not optimistic on this is that since the U.S., I was making an analogy, I think, last week about, like, Apple and iPhones and how it's like it's proprietary technology owned by the U.S. government. Like, the dollar is that. Mm-hmm. If you think about it a little more abstractly, it is a proprietary technology that that the U.S. government owns. And in theory, since everybody owes us all this money, what if they just said, all right, we're calling back the dollars. We require them to be returned. That would absolutely destroy the global economy, yes, but it also is, like, the ultimate, like, kibosh on anybody. Like, we're going to make our own currency. It's like, well, China, you owe like how many badrillion trillion you own how much U.S. debt? Well, we're calling all of it. Here we are. Like, let's have fun with this.
Yeah, no,
That's
there
what they took.
definitely could be a tit for tat situation there. It's not like the United States is completely powerless on the world stage, but what we see when we see this conversation is starting to open doors, starting to open minds, and then it's not like the United States is like completely privy to every conversation going on between China and every other country. About the potential of doing business together. So that we have to assume that these conversations are going on and have been going on for a long time, and this is not a situation that they're necessarily trying to rush into, but doing it in a smart, stair-stepped kind of way. What needs to be achieved here? Okay, next step. What needs to be achieved here? Next step. Next step. So we are seeing, I think, overall, if we're talking big picture, next 5-10 years, we will be seeing, that shift at least in a greater for a percentage of the globe shifting away from the dollar, and then we will see the United States lashing out every way possible, trying every trick in the book, as a dying empire would do. So I think it's a twofold situation. It might not necessarily be an easy transition because the United States is not just going to lay down and roll over about it. And when I say that, I mean the government, not like you or me, like us people. Like, you can't do that to our dollar. Like, we don't give a fuck. But we're not in control of anything. But I think that it is a very promising situation just to see that we're tired of being citizens. We're tired of the imperial machine. We're tired of it stomping us. We're tired of it. At least we should be getting something, right? If that's the way it used to be. The Imperium at least, gave you bread and circuses, and now there's no bread and no circuses. So, that's the thing about it. And then that's if they have nothing to even offer you domestically, like, you're not going to have support for it. And then we're going to see the whole back and forth of President Newsom's going to save us and everything's been good. And then nevertheless, he will, I guess, all right, I guess, no, it's, and then the conversation is going to start with no, it's not the Israeli people. It was Netanyahu the whole time, which he's already fucking doing. And that's a big story today that's happening right now that he's saying Israel's great. I love Israel. Like
Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah. And, that's the thing. I think a lot of people have seen enough of what's happened to Palestine and a lot around to know that it's not one guy or a couple of guys at the top. It is the citizens, the Israeli people, who are literally going and lighting their houses on fire, Palestinians' houses on fire, stealing their shit, like the right to rape fucking riots that they had, that they wanted to be able to get to rape people and prisoners and do whatever the fuck they want. These fucking people are psychopaths. They are awful and disgusting. And I don't care if that's like sounds like, oh, you're marginalizing. Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple of good ones, okay? But this seems to be like a national sentiment. We have seen people like just the average citizen, quote unquote, go and stand in front of aid trucks with their baby carriages. Like, normal people don't fucking do that kind of shit. So you're not going to sit here and tell me that the problem is the guy at the top. Okay, so that's really the issue, and that's a big reason that the whole world has really rallied against the way that this has all gone down. And maybe had they not been trying to absolutely just completely slaughter the people of Palestine and neighboring areas over the last few years openly, I mean, not like the last like 70 years, but like the last couple of years, right in everybody's faces. They might have got that help, if this was another time. They may have gotten the help that they asked for. People might have believed the evil brown people were trying to kill the nice, lovely whites, and that might have been the argument. But that isn't anymore, so it's essentially they've cut their own throat. And Iran is a formidable partner, I guess. Like, you might have a formidable, like they are the war symmetric, as Jared was saying.
We've underestimated. Well, I say underestimated. A lot of people here don't like. I don't know that much. I don't know much about freaking anything until it becomes important enough that I have to go learn about it. Like this various geography and like
there's just so much.
Who's president? Iran turns out is a very big country with a lot of stuff in it, and they're far more advanced than we were going to give them credit for. I guess it's like because we think like, oh, Iraq is like no Iraq. Iran, like, just in terms of population alone, like, isn't Iran like 90 million people or something? Like, or is
right? It's a very big geographic area, I don't know, like literally how it compares to the United States geographically, but it's a very big area, very high, densely
I think they were saying it's like
populated.
as big as Texas. Is how they were comparing it, because that's
I
a
hadn't
unit I
heard.
can
I'm not
understand.
sure, but
How
you know,
many
like,
Texases something is.
but you know, if Texas is always all the time threatening to go on their own way, like they probably could do it. So it makes me think that, like, yeah, if somewhere the size of Texas, at like a huge population density and a lot of forward motion and a lot of world allies, you know, probably has a pretty good stake in what's going to happen to them. And I think also
5,000-year-old society.
right, yeah,
Multiple
that
thousands.
too. That's what we're talking about. We're not like a 250-year-old whatever the fuck. It's thousands of years old there, you know. So that's again what we're talking about as well. So that it's like, okay, well, how does this, you know, really materially affect the United States? Well, because it's the United States started this. Whether or not it was something that was, you know, kind of clandestine from like the 70s, as we've talked about a little bit, but or if this is sort of like a let's shoot our shot, which, because again, since the 70s, the United States has been circling the drain economically and on the world scale. And now we're really at a crisis point here where, and I was saying this as I got cut off. Oh, and did you see my face? Like when it cut, like my freeze was so hilarious. At least on my end, my freeze, like my eyes were crossed. I don't even know how I did that. But the thing of it is that the United States on the world scale and for itself is a one-trick pony. All we have to offer is doing war. The war machine is the only way to make money anymore. The investors are leaving. They're going for greener pastures. They're looking to other countries. You know, like we are at the bottom of like the rankings on education. We are, you know, clean living, on food, on we don't produce anything here. It's all done through bullying other countries and ruining their economies. So those things, you know, can only last so long. And history shows us that most empires only last around 250 years. So guess where we are. That's it. You know, we're constantly talking about the fall, especially me, because I love the idea of it. Not that I think that it would be good for us necessarily. I think it might be very, very bad. But as Jared has pointed out before, we're not starting from zero. You know, we are starting from, you know, a place of functionality. You know, and as I've said before, it's like if you took away the internet, your life would not really be all that different from living in the 80s, you know, like, or living, you know, maybe even the 70s. Like life is fundamentally not improved. So when you hear people going on about China, they're living in 2030, no, the fuck they're not. They're living right now, doing what is capable. Like, and you have to even say, like, yeah, they want to have a good showing, but they're still just like, you know, for economic reasons, that's still the bare minimum of what can be done. You know, that it just is super impressive to people out here living in garbage land, in the fucking wasteland, who's like, oh wow, look, their buildings light up, and that impresses us, right? Like, you know, they can, I'm sure, push things much further than they have. And I hope that they do, because they really have set a really big precedent to really, I mean, it's not just like America here. Like, you know, China's not living in the 2040s, or I'm sorry, the Canada or Mexico or Australia or Europe or Britain. They're not. You know, we're all basically on the same level that we've been on for the past 40 years. There's been no great change in how all of the West is living. So I hope that they keep showing everyone up and showing people that there is a different and better way, and it's really not that hard to achieve. Jared, thoughts?
Well, I have one more war-related thing before we. I think I'm gonna want to. Well, I'll have Afroman be our last thing, so it'll probably take the rest of our rest of our hour, and it's a very different kind of conversation. But we're talking about how a lot of NATO resources are pulling out of the Middle East.
Yes.
Well, there's one non-NATO country that's going to be in it. They're going to fight to the last Iranian or last Ukrainian. We have Ukraine is helping strengthen Arab air defenses against Iran. And what does that mean?
I think they are.
It means that the U.S. is just pulling the support that we pulling the money that we were giving to Ukraine for this hopeless conflict to a different hopeless conflict. Ukraine has abundant experience, and just reading this, like this, where is this from? Nationalinterest.org. Oh man, but yeah, you can just hear how they need to freak you out about how Iran is a bunch of crazy terrorists throughout the language here. Iran has abundant experience fighting against Iranian drones in its own skies. The same drones that are now being, no, they're North Korean. The same drones that are being used to target Arab nations of the Persian Gulf. 3 weeks into Operation Epstein Fury, Iran's drone and missile attacks across the Middle East persist. In an attempt to protect urban centers and energy infrastructure, Ukraine is sending counter-drone equipment to the area. Ukraine's brutal war of attrition against Russia, now in its 5th year, oh my god, has given the country's armed forces abundant experience in fighting one-way attack drones on a budget. Man, they should have told us about this at the beginning of this Iran shit. Then we would have known. If only we spoke to the Ukrainians and coordinated intelligence with them.
They're just so capable.
Ukrainian counter-drone assistance in the Middle East. Iranian drones continue to present a difficult task for the U.S. military, Israel, and their partners across the region. Iranian drones are striking oil and natural gas infrastructure in the Gulf. They also are attacking commercial maritime traffic trying to traverse the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil supply passes every day. Over the past week, Ukrainian counter-drones experts have deployed in the region and are providing expert assistance to friendly countries, including Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, and Jordan. They're calling it the axis of slavery, ladies and gentlemen, and they are helping them out.
A minor note on like Saudi Arabia and UAE and things. Those people, they have their own agenda. They're just kind of standing off, being like, okay, blow each other up to the point that we can make some money off of it. We really are not, part of this. So, like when you say like, oh, like in this article, so not when you say, but when this article's like saying that, it's just like, yeah, you're talking about shit that's really not like there's no there there. They're only in it. They don't give a shit what happens. They're not friends of anybody. They're friends to themselves.
I only bring this up because the friendships that you're talking about here. It's if you're, I will always have the chip on my shoulder about Ukraine because I got my ass handed to me, destroyed on the internet because I'm like, bad. Don't. Ukraine seems. Hey, maybe we don't put. Maybe like I don't. Quote, I've been accused of quote supporting Russia, and that implies that like I think that the trillions of dollars that we're sending to Ukraine should instead be diverted to Russia or something, and that is not what I'm saying either. If Ukraine wants to have a big war over Russia, I won't get into it. Not even gonna get weird about this.
The thing is, it's like, okay, if they want to do it, you do it. Take all the United States fucking, propping up that you received, all the money laundering that this is amounted to, and then you do it. You bully Russia all you want to.
Have a great war with each other. Have a wonderful time. I do not understand how I need to be involved, or I should say how my money needs to be involved with this while my own country is crumbling. Yeah. So when left 100%. People or like, oh, we need to support the, it becomes, the big country, small country. Clearly the big country is the bad one, and that just seems to be all of the thinking that goes on in a leftist's head. Yeah. Meanwhile, if you ask them that same question about Israel, well, they're a small country. Israel is a small country, right? Iran, bigger country. So logically, Iran is bad, right? And they're like, well, yeah. No. all these other things.
This is why the left can never be a thing, because we all hate each other. That's essentially what it is.
They just seem to be like immediately run along with the State Department's lines. Right. Like with Ukraine, it's just because hey, guess what? Joey Biden was the president for a big chunk of that, right. So it had to be a good war in that case. And I guess we were still doing the like Russiagate hoax with Trump, where it's like Trump has many problems. I don't think he's controlled by Russia.
And I don't think that like people are really like they're disappointed that Russia is so quiet. They expect them to be loud and in your face and obnoxious like the United States about everything, but they're just being there.
Just trying to live, do their shit.
Right. They're just trying to be there and exist. And it's just like we don't know. We're not going to sit here and be like, oh, the Russian people are good, but Putin is like, shut the fuck up. You don't know. Nobody fucking knows. It's basically a news blackout when it comes to what's going on there. If you live like anywhere in the United States or in the West at all. So we don't fucking know what's going on there. I don't want to hear about it. But
anything normal that comes out of there is treated like, oh, this is secret propaganda, and then anything bad, it's like, oh, that's true, that's the real shit.
And that's the issue as well. Like it's people are here just as willing to eat up that nightly news headline, which is literally state news. So don't be talking to me about North Korea and shit with state news. They're literally doing the State Department dirty work for whatever fucking reason. Who knows? I mean, like, because all they keep getting
I thought we didn't trust the
caught
government,
up.
but for some reason they
Right.
trust them about this. So
Right.
if you're of that mind where you're like, where you're doing this frickin' kindergarten level good guy, bad guy nonsense,
Yes.
well, why is Ukraine helping out? Like, look at who they are, quote, friends with, and they're sending weapons where? To all the states where you just slaves are still okay and normal. Like, isn't that a thing that we care about, right? Like, don't we hate Russia because they're so mean to their people? But then,
It's
like,
always the nevertheless
gotta go help
argument.
fucking Qatar and Dubai and all that, where they can.
Yeah. Nilo in the comments mentions it doesn't seem to stop the right from organizing with each other, and they hate each other too, and that's true. But they just like are like really way more into what they believe in than the left apparently. Like it's I don't know what the difference, the dichotomy there is, but it's.
I no longer agree that direction-based politics even exist, because on all of the issues that actually matter, all these wars are, quote, right and left, sure do agree on everything. Because what are we talking about, Democrats and Republicans? They agree on everything except for, like, how many rainbow flags should be applied.
Right, exactly. They're all still signing their name to missiles that are going to blow up children. So,
do we mean people on the internet that call themselves communists and have never read a goddamn book? I don't blame them for not knowing shit. They have no interest in learning anything.
Right. I mean, and on one hand, it's good because it's like, okay, if you're when we spent all these years going communism wordy dirt, and then now people are calling themselves that, yeah, okay, maybe you're just doing that. We went through that with the socialism thing. We kind of moved now on to communism, but like every Democrat was calling themselves a socialist forever because they just thought it was cool. They had no idea what it was about. That was essentially equating to communism. They're the same thing, you know.
Right and left both saying how evil communism is.
Right, yeah, and now people are just straight up, hey, I'm communist.
They just call each other Marxists in a circle.
Right, yeah, like yell at each other about Marxism and Leninism, and like it's just like, okay, would you guys just shut the fuck up? All right.
Who said
like,
that word to you recently? It's like your favorite word now. You're just saying it all the time.
Yeah, right. So like it's interesting how the zeitgeist has changed around that, but ultimately we're still, if we're talking capitalism or we're talking communism / socialism, we're still talking economics. That's not like an ideology of like, oh, this is my spiritual philosophy is Marxism. Like, come on now. We're talking about like how we have to live like economically in an economic system that works for fucking people.
We are an economically
spiritual, I guess, but we
are an economically progressive, socially moderate country. We want, like, our social opinions are generally, I wouldn't even say, because people are like, oh, we're very conservative social. I'm like, I think most people are kind of like, leave me the hell alone, and that's about it when it comes down to it. But as we saw, even way back with the whole, like, when you would describe Obamacare to someone but not call it Obamacare, and then they'd be like, that sounds great. Like, when you actually describe progressive economic policies, progressive meaning like, you know, everybody you should own the house that you're in. Like, we shouldn't have privatized
property tax, and like you should have a landlord, and
all the obvious things.
Afford food, and
everybody
like,
freaking agrees on that. Your most
like,
boring like redneck neighbor, you're gonna be in agreement with that. You don't even know you're in agreement yet, but as soon as you start actually having the conversations, like, if I don't know if you guys think that the Bolsheviks were these like ultra like liberal rainbow flag people or something. No, they were like what we would consider horrible backward peasants. and
just wanted some shit to live, like, basically. And if that's what takes it to unite, and I think color politics in this country, you're right, I think we might be pivoting past that to
it's own thing over there. That's like the sideshow is the horse race, red, blue, right, left thing.
Right.
Because even like if we talk about the right, quote unquote, being united, we're seeing the biggest fracture of the right ever. You like look, you now have like you have your Ben Shapiro's and your Tucker Carlsons, and those were once considered, they were on literally the same shit together forever, and now you see people who are actually serious about making America great, whatever, like ending the forever wars, getting people a freaking sandwich once a day.
Somehow
and the
Tucker Carlson has looped into like this leftness a little bit. Like, I'm not going to give him too much credit, but it's like you have leftists over here going like, well, he's not wrong, unfucking fortunately.
He is the only journalist on TV challenging people about, like, what do you mean Israel has a right to exist? What is define that?
Yeah,
like,
right?
when the fuck is Rachel Maddow going to get on TV and do that? It's not happening.
Exactly. and it puts us in a position of having to agree with people we fucking hate, like Tucker.
I fully believe that Tucker Carlson is CIA horseshit. I fully believe he's because his dad was in the frickin' CIA. But like, it's how you keep the thing going, because like somebody has to be allowed to say some level of truth to keep the whole thing not from seeming like a ridiculous group of liars.
Right.
It's like, well, there's some people not lying. Let's keep working with this.
The thing that was always like the liberals were always, the Democrats were always like, haha, Tucker Carlson was too stupid to be in the CIA and he was rejected, but Anderson Cooper was in the CIA. Fuck you.
And we're proud of him, and we love him.
We love him. So like that is like, oh, that, you know, just like a monocosm of like why we just can't. Like, I don't ever really honest. I think that the closest you're gonna get to right and left literally getting along is somewhere in this weird gray area of Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson saying shit, and it's just like, if we can both agree. If we could put the pitchforks and axe handles down for like 1 second and be like, these people that most of us fucking hate, like, are saying shit that we agree with, like, it doesn't really matter.
I used to think it was like soft Democrats who were like close to getting it. And, oh, if you just like nudge them a little bit, they'll figure it out. And I'm starting to be like, no, I think it's the fuckers with like a 3rd grade reading level who are actually closer. Because they haven't had all this nonsense injected into their brain where you can just talk to them about obvious common sense things. They're like, yes, well, that is very obvious.
Yeah, and I used to feel the same way. Like, I look at people who, you know, were espousing really smart points. You know, your John Oliver, your Mark Maron type people. It's like, God, you're almost there. But then it's like, you know, no, you're doing this on purpose. You know what you're doing. You know where your paycheck comes from, and you know what you're doing.
I'm a dumb, poor moron, and I have had the time and willingness to read these books that are free and to investigate things and to like figure out, okay, how do things actually work? So when I see anybody who is anywhere near my age or with more money than me, like Mark Maron, you could hire a whole guy who just researches that shit for you and tells you about things. Instead, no, I'm listening to Mark Maron, a comedian I used to really, really like, go on to specials and talk about how individual, normal, your neighbors, essentially, are the real problem, and we just have to clear out all these horrible, stupid people, and then if we could just have a culling of people I disagree with, everything would be better. And it's like, Jesus Christ, man, like, you know that's not what it is. So then when you hear him say it, it's like, okay, so you're what is it? Like, he either doesn't, if you don't know at that point, at that level, you are intentionally not knowing.
Yeah,
I think Rachel Maddow doesn't get it. That bitch has spent her whole life to study these things. She is extremely educated. She's been to all these shiny universities. Freaking Cornell West is out here betraying every single cause. You know? Like, what, you think they just don't know? Well, they either know and have gone, or they're just like, don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. I need to keep.
Well, they know where the paycheck comes from. They know where if they go out and start saying shit like we don't get paid, you know, like they go out and start saying shit like we say, like suddenly they like left, you know, looped around here, like they're not going to get gigs, they're going to get fired from their shows. You know, their audience is going to say that they've lost their mind and they're woke and they're radicalized and all this crap. So no, like these people that do seem smart about stuff, they are smart and they do know and they do have access. If we have access to the information, they have access to the information.
And they're paid $1 million a day to make sure they never let on.
To oppress you, effectively. There are tools of oppression. Anyways, I think that this conversation is kind of strayed. Did you want to finish your Ukraine point?
I was saying, that's really it. If we're going to do this moralism thing, it's like, well, look at who our, quote, moral actors are. I don't remember exactly how they said it, but I heard somebody talking about where it's like eventually if you're like a media personality, like a talking head type of any kind, you eventually have to circle back to support of Empire. Like, you're like, how do all these Bernie people end up just circling back supporting Empire? Because otherwise you just have our show where you go, this is all this is all nonsense, and like you're run by cannibal pedophiles, and it's like, so what are you just going to say that over and over? And we're like, yes, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's actually what we're going to do. That's the fucking plan.
But you can't run the Rachel Maddow show off that. You can't run the Daily Show off of like actually arriving at what the conclusion is, because then you just like, well, you don't get any money from anybody because the institution is not going to be happy with you. And like, so how do you keep a show going? Well, eventually you got to be like, but what if we vote for Mamdani? Hey, we're back. We're supporting the machine.
Yeah,
Hooray!
that's exactly what it is. And you have to look at also the further and further consolidation of the media companies, that are going into literal Zionist control. They just the Paramount just did that huge hostile takeover essentially of Warner Brothers, and which includes all the properties like on HBO and things like this. So there's a lot of questions about, well, what's going to happen to the more progressive style shows? Like people are loving The Pit right now, and they just had a storyline about ICE coming and fucking with them, and I felt like they were comparatively chill about it, right? Like now, okay, so that's going to go under literal Zionist control. So what's going to happen to that? That kind of argument. Like, are they going to sacrifice their show? Or are they going to be like, fuck you, we're not doing it? Which I think is probably what's going to happen, even though it's like the most popular show right now. And I fall back to that because the television is something we all like and we loved, especially during the pandemic. And then these companies consolidated and they vowed out, hey, actually we make TV, but it's too expensive and we're not going to do it anymore. Fuck you, watch reruns. So they're controlling the narrative through what you are seeing, and what they're allowing you to see. So, and that's getting way, way worse. And that's why every show you see now is CIA, FBI, cop agents, and the agents of coppery, and all this crap. And it's just like, would this fucking stop anytime? Like, can we stop with the fucking cop procedurals? And the answer is always going to be no, because that is always going to be an instrument of an empire. There are, again, like I've argued about the show Mo, which is on Netflix, which is not part of that exactly right yet, but that actually takes an anti-Israeli stand where nothing else is, and I'm feeling like you're not going to see much more of that in the coming years. But at least I hope this makes a rise of independent and outsider material become available.
Well, the ratings show that freaking nobody watches that shit anymore, so
they just make it for. Yeah, right. Like they're just like people.
We have probably the same viewership. We probably have the same viewership as certain like straight to Apple TV commentary shows, depending week to week. They just
actually Apple
nobody
TV
even watches.
Kind of removed from this, it seems like, and they kind of. I'm not saying that they're like super progressive or super leftist or anything, but they actually are like the only company that's actually making really good shows that are getting acclaim and award, and actually people are coming and watching and enjoying.
I guess I'm referring more to like when it wasn't like Hillary Clinton who was like, now on Apple TV, the Hillary Clinton podcast. We're like, who the fuck is watching that?
I'm not up to date on my Hillary Clinton news, so I missed that one for sure. They still are playing the game. They still know about how to make money, but it's just like they seem to be working outside of everyone else who is just like cutting back.
MSNBC Plus or M.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like all of that kind of stuff. Like
there are people paid tons of money to have about the same reach as we do, because people just don't, in general, like the masses don't even watch that stuff anymore unless you're 90 years old or you're like in the doctor's office waiting room.
Yeah, right.
So I have this is a pretty dang unifying story. I did see a couple of the like your expected, as I think of them, race hustlers or other people trying to like make this into some divisive thing. No, everybody who sees this comes to the exact same conclusion. They're all very happy for Afroman. So
this is a neat story. This really is.
Like 3 years ago, you might have heard that the police. I'm playing this video with the audio won't play, but it'll have some images that are relevant to what we're talking about as we go. But 3 years ago, the police got it turns out a phony warrant. Like it wasn't. The warrant itself, there was weirdness with that. From a confidential informant that Afroman was trafficking just a very large amounts of narcotics, weed. So that is probably like, okay, I see why maybe one would believe that Afroman, the guy whose most famous song is because and then I got high. Yes, there might be weed in his house, but it was also kidnapping. They accused him of having a kidnap torture dungeon in his basement. And you're already probably thinking his house doesn't have a basement, so that was not true. Of course, they went in his house, and when the police raid your house, they're not exactly polite and courteous about it. No. So they broke in his door. They just like various damages while they go and ransack his house. They also just took a bunch of cash out of his house and then returned most of it, but not all of it. So like here we are, things in the raid. There's them standing outside going, "There's nothing." Like this guy just like he's like frustrated. He then wrote various songs about this incident, and the cops then sued him for like defamation.
Yes.
Because you can't be making comedy songs. This is causing us grievous mental distress. And because it's a civil suit, the whole thing is on tape. If you're more interested in learning about this, you can see hours of footage of testimony. The only witness that Afroman called was one of the police officer's own ex-wives who testified against him. Because part of it was that, like, oh, we're very distressed. It's like, was he distressed? It's like, no, when he saw it, he was laughing. He thought it was funny.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, this is so bonkers because, like, these people ended up having to come and testify to say that they were defamed, but they, like, then they have something so stupid. And there's actually, I've got this was a post, I think it was a tweet from it's Doc Strangelove 2 said, who knew a home-baked lemon pound cake would lead to a cop admitting under oath he isn't sure if Afroman banged his wife or not.
Because defamation requires lies, and in one of the songs, it's but is a son of a bitch. Ooh, that's why I banged his wife and got filthy rich. Ooh, and then in it is like, so do you know if Afroman banged your wife? And he's like, well, can't say, because you can't say no, because that ruins your case. Your whole case is that he's telling lies about you, like knowingly to. It's like, well, did that happen? And he had to say, yeah, I don't know, which is very funny.
Yeah, and it is sort of like a bigger picture type of a scenario too, because it's like you rarely get to see something like this. You know, we would guess if you didn't know any of the details about this, and you're like, oh, there was a singer who got his house raided by cops. Then you would assume that you know where that story is going, right? Like, you
think it's gonna be Rick James, who literally had kidnapping victims in his basement. People forget that Rick James went on a bunch of crazy drug binges and actually kidnapped people and had like a sex dungeon. No one died, as far as I know.
In that case, it's fine, guys.
It's less. It's why you're like, you still see Rick James on TV. What the fuck? And it's like, yeah, that I think he either went to prison or paid big fines or something, but then he got out, and I don't think
died.
I don't think he's doing that anymore. Well,
yeah.
He's not doing anything anymore. But
no, not for a while. Well, you know, apparently it's you know, you bring that up and it triggers something in my mind. Like, Boy George did the same damn thing.
Oh my God, Boy George had.
Yeah, like he got in trouble some years ago because he literally had a guy chained to his radiator. Like, he literally, like, I don't know what that, like, I don't know. Maybe there's something that happens to you when you get to a certain level of fame or something. It's just like, I need to chain people up right now in my house.
Fine. I will suffer no repercussions from this.
There will be no issues from this. But, you know, if you look at this story without knowing anything about it or what's going on, then you will assume you know where the direction this is going. It's like, oh, well, obviously they had a reason, or obviously, like, if he was doing some sort of, you know, we hate perverts in this country. The ones that you can grab, we hate those guys. You know, like, so you assume that, you know, like, you know, you'll get all kinds of, you know, thoughts or whatever about what we can do or what's going to happen or who deserved what or whatever. And then you get to this story and you find out, no, this was all a horse shit. This was like, they were trying to railroad him and he wouldn't fucking take it.
Yeah, it was a slap lawsuit. I mean, like, one to just intimidate somebody into shutting up. Because he made a whole album about how, like, look at these pieces of shit cops. Lemon pound cake.
Yeah, right. I'm going to switch the screen real quick because I think that I want to try something. Well, maybe I'm not. Where are our pictures now?
I'll take mine away.
Okay.
I just like that picture of him celebrating outside because he lives in the small town in Ohio, and you look at the crowd around him, it's just a bunch of Ohio hillbillies hanging out, like, yeah, from
So, okay, yeah, I've had a little bit of luck here with sharing my screen, so I'm gonna share something real quick, see if it works. Yep. Okay, now that is an actual courtroom rendering of Afroman during this incident. So, like, yeah, like you can see he's got his jewelry and like he's all dressed up all nice, like you know, in your face style here. So now I gotta figure out how to turn the damn thing off. Maybe.
Very good, very funny. His
outfits
are always great.
Okay. Are you in control of it or am I in control of it? Because it keeps like shutting off.
Oh, I flipped us back on the thing, but I'm not touching buttons anymore.
Oh, okay. Let me try to get rid of it. It won't go off my screen is why. Like, I keep trying to tell it to stop and it won't go away. So, like, I'm hitting the stop button and it won't stop. Okay. Oh, okay. There we go. All right. Yeah, I'm just not like, I'm looking, I said this before, I'm looking into the light and everything is black, so I can't see anything, and I'm just hoping that I'm getting somewhere. So yeah, this is kind of a little bit of a feel good story here that we've got, because we don't really ever see people win, against this situation. You're still hearing about like the Breonna Taylor case, where the cops are still like, like, oh yeah, they definitely fucking jumped in on these people and like had no cause to do it, and it was all bullshit. And then we see this all the time, and we see cops never getting in trouble for their conduct and behavior. So this is a rare occasion where, and it might be because not because it was so flimsy in their behavior, but because they do that all the time. But because there was a flamboyant person involved here.
He made a series of music videos over the course of 3 years about it, and he's just famous enough that people will go, wait, huh? The guy who did the frickin' 40 and a thing and a bag of bud. What's the other?
Well, and you're also, this is not. We're not talking about like Jay-Z level upper echelon, like dirty, like creepy, like connections type of a guy. This is a guy who lives in Ohio, and if you see the raid on his house, it's a house. It's like a normal person's house.
He's a working musician.
Right? Yeah. Something someone in our midst knows something about.
I feel a lot of kinship with him, because clearly he just does all the shit in his house. Like it's like me. He's like, you're looking at my studio right now. This is the microphone that I sing into, etc. He's just like him on a green screen. But you look at his shows, and it's like he's playing for. There are people there, but he's like in a bar, 100 people, like normal working class musician shows.
And that's exactly your steez. Like that's what you do. Like so you do have that kinship, you do have that understanding. And
Afroman is for the people.
Right, yeah. And that's exactly what we're coming out. And then you see him wearing like, the United States, like the flag and everything like that, which most of us have come to hate, but he's like essentially promoting the message. It's like, hey, yeah, I am an American. This is my right to like not be roped into some bullshit crimes because you don't fucking like me, blah blah blah.
It's a unifying story. Basically, the entire 99% of the country looks at this and has the exact same reaction.
Right, like haha, yay. Like, but again, it might not. We might not. This, if we know anything about how things work in this country, it's like, okay, you didn't get him now, but he's made a lot of enemies, and then they'll figure out some way to put 70 bullets into him in his car as he's just driving down the road for no reason, because that happens all the time. So hopefully, hopefully we see something settled here. It's just that we historically know that like the argument and the fight is probably not over, and he's made a pretty good target of himself.
The only damper on this is that it's not that he was suing them and won damages on them. It was they were suing him, and he defended himself. So all that's happened is he is not punished. It's not like everybody's getting fired and put in jail.
Yeah. So then he still had to pay for all his own legal fees and representation and things court fees and that. So like it's not like this was a moral victory.
It was a jury trial also, which is why it went this way. If this was just like a judge doing a thing, I don't think we would have gotten this result.
Right.
But it's a jury, and
so he obviously had some really good counsel, and obviously had some good ideas of his own, I think, probably to put into there, and they had a lot to work with. So this is sort of a unicorn situation, and I don't see it setting a precedent in any kind of a way. But it is nice to be able to report it, because we never get to have nice things. So that's really what we're ultimately coming down here about, like that we like, hey, look at this small victory, yay, when our entire country in much of the world is being run by pedophile cannibals. Look at this little win, yay!
Oh, I definitely take like not even the specific court case as much as the fact that everyone looks at this and goes, yes, the police should not just have free reign to do whatever they want to you. And then if you use your like First Amendment rights to then free speech about it, like you are allowed legally to complain about the cops doing shit to you, even if the shit they did to you is technically legal on the books. Because this did not say that was an illegal raid. No, that's upheld. They did not say that they had to pay for his door and his frickin' gate like he sings about in the song.
Right, yeah.
No, that was all totally legal. It's just that you are allowed to bitch about it still. Like, it's a very low bar, but the fact that everyone's like, yes, of course, clearly. I'm like, good, okay, we are all still kind of on the same page with, at least with this.
Right, yeah. Like everybody can agree about this small victory being like at least to something, we're at least here somewhere with something. And in the fact that we're constantly, being, always, the cops always win. They do absolutely like totally horrible, heinous things to innocent people, and dealing with all the ICE stuff. And it's like, yeah, okay, we can all agree on this. And even people on the right will agree, like, even though their minds seem to be changing towards imperialism quite a bit, but a lot of them will be like, no, yeah, the cops shouldn't just get to do whatever they want to do. Like, that was always a tenement,
the guy
of
with
white
the third
politics.
grade reading level immediately is like, what the hell? Come on down. It's like those are some of the most, like, don't tell me what to do, and not anti-authority, but like, to common sense levels of the state can't just come and beat down your door for no reason.
Right. Yeah. And then they did trash his house, so it's like, he was out all the whatever it costs to fix all that kind of stuff. The invasion, obviously, of privacy, of having a bunch of, just think about your house. Like, do you want like 100 fucking cops like running through your house, like, like doing like whatever they want to your house? Like, your house is you, basically. Like, that invasion, I feel that's like when you get broken into or something, a lot of people feel like this was an invasion akin to if you'd done it to my body, like this is like I think we can argue maybe that's not as serious, but to me it would be like if I went through that same thing and I knew that there were a bunch of armed people that have authority of some kind who are literally trashing my shit in front of me.
Team.
Yeah, right. And then because then he's gonna have to deal with that. He's gonna have to deal with the cost. He's gonna have to deal with his own court costs and his own legal fees and things like this. So it's like it wasn't a regular person would probably not have the ability to fight this and win. And I'm sure this is happening all over the world, or all over the country at least, all the time. Anyways, and we're not hearing about it, and you might occasionally hear like a rundown of it on like a John Oliver piece, where it's like, listen to all these points of all these times that this happened, which occasionally that's kind of a useful thing, but this being such an open air thing, I think is what makes it a little bit different. And will it change policy procedure? No, but did it give us all a little bit of a victory for a little while? Yeah. So, and that's pretty much it, I think. And we're just about time, guys. So, did you have any final thoughts you wanted to share?
I am out of thoughts.
You're out of thoughts. You've done all your thoughts. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like coming up at the end of the show. It's like, I don't have any more thoughts. I'm going to need a week to think of more thoughts about things to say. So maybe, this week kind of compared to last week was a little quieter. So every week is different, and we got to see where we're going to go with it. So maybe we'll get another next week. Maybe we will get lucky and have more positive headlines to talk about, because that would be really cool.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Cuba.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We there's a lot we didn't get to, obviously. So we only have an hour, a week with this. So, so thank you so much all for being with us. We really do appreciate you. Your comments. We don't always get to all of your comments, but we do appreciate that you're talking to us and engaging with us and things like this. We're glad that you're here, and we're glad that you're enjoying what we're doing. You can reach out to us on our socials. We're on. You could DM us on Twitter and Blue Sky, and we'll see it. And you could also watch all of our archive of shows going on over a couple of years now. On what are we on? We're on YouTube and Rumble, and then you can also watch us live on YouTube and Twitch. So if you were wondering on how you got here, that's what's going on. So we'll keep doing it as long as you all keep watching, and we'll probably do it even if you don't, just so we have a chance to yell into the void at least once a week and kind of right the boat a little bit. So we will be back with you next week, and Jared's going to be here with us for a while. So, which is really cool, because we love having him and not just me.
Yeah, we're seeing if we got my roommate's Chinese visa in today. It should be, unless something's
I was just about to ask you about that when we were going off on.
They're like, it's FedEx is like, it's arriving between blank and blank o'clock today, so that should be accomplished, unless we open it and it's like rejected. Oh, which is a possibility.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'm gonna say bye, guys, because I want to go talk to him about this, and that's gonna be something really cool that we're gonna be able to talk about coming up, because he's gonna be taking a return trip to China, and come back with lots of cool pictures and videos and stuff and things. So thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we will see you next week. Bye.